guys, welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Becca and today I'm going to be talking about all the books that I'm hoping to read in July. So last month I was convinced that June was going to be my month. June was going to be the month that I got back on track and read all of the books essentially, and that was just really not the case. I did read in one vlog the entire Greenbone saga, which is going to be the video I think that directly follows this one on my channel, and that just took me most of the month and I don't regret it because I had a really good time with getting a new puppy as well, like right at the end of May. I just didn't have as much time to read as I would have liked. So once again, I'm saying maybe July is going to be my month. Now, there are no readathons that I am 100% participating in throughout the month of July. However, I did just see that Cass from Covers with Cassidy has announced a week-long readathon called the Summer of Self Pub, which is all about reading indie books. So if it's like right at the end of the month, so if by that point I've cleared through all of this, which is highly unlikely, then I may participate in that, but I don't have anything planned as of yet. We're just going to go through the books that I'm hoping to read in July. We're going to be starting with the ones that I definitely need to read in July. As we go on, they're going to be turning into more and more like things that I hope to read. Although, right at the bottom of this stack, the ones we're covering last are my leftover Bookopoly books. So I pretty much need to read all of these. It's just I know that it's probably not going to happen. So the first book I need to read, I'm also going to be reading pretty early on in the month, which is Fool's Quest by Robin Hobb. This is the 15th book in the Realm of the Eldlings. We are so close to finishing and I'm a little bit scared. This is the penultimate book. We have one more after this one, but this is also the second book in the Fitz and the Fool series. I'm reading this, of course, for Elderling Along, and I need to check with everybody, but at the minute we are intending the live show to be on the 17th of July. If you guys are participating and want to know when you have to have this read by, I don't actually know how long this one is. I know it's going to be chunky. 739. Wow, I don't think it looks that big, but that is a little bit chunky than I anticipated, so I'm gonna have to get a move on with this because Robin Hobb books are very slow paced. So this one is the second book in the final trilogy that follows Fitz, who is our main recurring character throughout the entirety of the Realm of the Eldlings. We start off following him when he's like 6 or 8 years old, and his maternal grandfather drops him off on the doorstep of the keep and tells him to go back to his father because Fitz is actually the bastard son of the prince in waiting, Prince Chivalry. However, when Chivalry finds out that Fitz is on his way to him, he very quickly abdicates the throne and moves to the countryside with his wife, leaving Fitz in a very awkward position where he's pretty much raised by the stable master of the keep, Burrich, up until he comes of an age where the king starts to take notice in him and trains him to be the royal assassin. Now, we have come so far since that point, right at the beginning in Assassin's Apprentice. Fitz is now, I think, 60 years old we got up to in the first book in this series, and I just know that this trilogy, especially the last book, is going to be heartbreaking. Like, something happened in the first book that pretty much broke me, so I'm expecting the same from the rest of the series, and I just don't think I'm ready because, like I said, this is book 15. We've read a lot of books in this series and I am very attached. And this one was actually a gift from Ashlow, so thank you very much to Ashlow for that. A book that I was supposed to read in June, which is a recurring theme for this TBR, but I'm buddy reading this one with Aaron and I think we're starting on the 1st of July, but that one is Realmbreaker by Victoria Aveyard. I've wanted to read this since its release and I actually really wanted to read it before Fairy Loot announced a special edition of the sequel so that I could decide if I wanted to get that special edition. I didn't, but I ordered the sequel anyway. But Victoria Aveyard is the author of one of my favorite series of all time, which is the Red Queen series. It was the first like high fantasy series that I'd ever read and really got me into the genre. I don't know whether I would enjoy it as much if I read it now, but I loved it at the time, which is why I've picked this up pretty much without knowing what it's about. I just know that it's like a multi-perspective high fantasy. Victoria Aveyard, really excited to read it, and Aaron is really invested in holding me accountable to reading this one, so we are going to be diving into this one together. This is also a chunky one. I'm screwed, quite honestly, but I mean, what else is new? This one's 563, so I mean, after getting through this one would be a breeze, even though I think I am actually at least starting this one before I start this one. But yeah, that's two chunky high fantasies on the TBR already, even though this one's YA, so it shouldn't be as dense. For my Inner Circle Patreon picks, I have fallen a little bit behind, so I still have my May pick to read, which is Azumanga Daioh. This one is a contemporary omnibus, so this is the entire series in one bind up this is another 700-page book, although theoretically with it being manga, it should be a bit quicker. Yeah, this one is like 670 pages, and this one is I guess you'd call it like a YA contemporary about a group of girls in this school and the teacher, I think, who helps them out through their time at this school. I have started this one, although I haven't made it too far, and I'm like 25 pages into it, and I'm going to be continuing throughout July. I don't know whether I want to just sit down and like read all of this, or whether I want to kind of break it up into chunks because it's so big, but we'll see how I feel throughout the month. This one was not only Anna's pick for my Patreon, but Anna also actually gifted this to me, so thank you very much to Anna for that. Melanie's pick for June was Slave to Sensation by Nalini Singh. This is the first book in an urban fantasy / paranormal series that I have heard amazing things about, and all I really know about this is that it has a murder mystery plotline. I think there are two races, the Sai and the Changelings, that are about to go to war because of a string of murders of changeling women. And this is a world where people with emotions are punished. So anybody who shows any side of emotion has to be like rehabilitated, whatever that means. All I know is that I've heard amazing things about it. Nalini Singh in general, but this series specifically. So I'm really excited to dive into this one, and I'm really hoping I love it just because I've heard so many good things about Nalini Singh. Which brings us to our July book, which I'm going to be picking now. This has just been refilled as well. So anybody whose books have been chosen or books that I've just happened to read over the last 6 months has had the opportunity to put a new book in, so we are very full in here, and I'm excited to see what's going to come out, although I am also a little bit scared. We'll choose this one, which is Black Dagger Brotherhood. That was Marley's pick, and it's also, I believe, Vicky's pick, because I know for sure that the Black Dagger Brotherhood is in here more than once. Okay, so it seems like I'm going to be starting two of the most well-loved and also most hyped fantasy romance / like paranormal romance series that I've pretty much ever heard of, because Marley's pick is Black Dagger Brotherhood, the first book being Dark Clover by J.R. Ward. This one was a gift from Jessica, so thank you very much to Jessica for that. And this one is a vampire romance series. There's like 20 books in this series, and I'm pretty sure it's not done yet. Actually, I know it's not done because I've seen a hardback in Waterstones, which means that a book has recently been released in this series. When did it start? This first one was published in 2005, which actually isn't as early as I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to end up being the 90s, but then I think I've just forgotten how long ago 2005 was. But yeah, vampire romance, very well loved. I know a lot of you guys are going to be excited that I'm going to be picking this one up, and seeing as we have this and Slave to Sensation, I feel like a themed reading vlog may be in order. So I have a couple of other books that I would like to add to this TBR before I just quickly run through which of my Bookopoly books for June and July are remaining. But the first one is my arc of Monsters Born and Made by Tanvi Barwa. This one is a YA fantasy about a girl who, along with her brother, captures these mystical creatures. What are they called? Maristags. And the elite have this competition that they participate in called the Glory Race, and the main character's family have been tasked with hunting down the Maristags for the Glory Race, and they end up being one shot, which leaves them without enough money to get medicine for their chronically ill sister. And so one of them decides that they are going to infiltrate and participate in the Glory Race to earn some money. I'm really excited about this, mainly because the PR letter that came with it talked about all of the fantasy worlds that the author has previously like gotten lost in themselves, and how they wanted to create a story that kind of paid tribute to all of those really immersive fantasy worlds. So I'm definitely hyped for this one, and I do really hope that I enjoy it. The PR package as well from Sourcebooks is absolutely stunning, and of course thank you to Sourcebooks for sending this my way. I'm really excited. The cover is stunning as well. It's just a gorgeous book and a gorgeous PR package. It's just all around beautiful, and the book actually sounds good as well. This one is definitely a maybe, because we'll see if I manage to actually get round to it, but that is Her Majesty's Royal Coven by Juno Dawson. I believe that this one is Juno Dawson's first adult book. It's also the first book in a series, but I'm not sure exactly how long it's going to be. This one sounds really good. It is about a coven of witches, essentially HMRC, which is the tax office, but in this it is Her Majesty's Royal Coven, and it is a group of witches who essentially work for the Queen. The founding member was Anne Boleyn, and they support the government in dealing with like supernatural and paranormal investigations. So it has like an urban fantasy kind of plot line, but it's definitely also giving me me like witchy culty vibes. The thing that's like concerning me a little bit is that this is set in Hebden Bridge, which is somewhere that I've been before, and I just don't know why you'd choose to set a book in Hebden Bridge. I expected it to be set like more in London because Her Majesty's Royal Coven, that's like the seat of the government, but I do really think I'm going to enjoy this one, and if I get time I'm definitely keen to read this one in July. And then lastly, I just have the Bookopoly books that I didn't manage to get to in June, which once again was almost all of them. The only one that I actually did read was Jade City, and that is because I read the entire Greenbow saga. The irony is that that's the only one that I read, but also if I hadn't have read it I would have read more because the Greenbow saga took up like 3 weeks of June. But we have The Blood Trials by N.E. Davenport. This one is a sci-fi fantasy that I've heard amazing things about. It's a debut. I'm really hyped to read it. It's been compared to Red Rising, which as you guys know is one of my like ultimate favorite series, and it is about a girl who lives in an oppressive society, and I think she infiltrates the military to gain revenge on the people who murdered her grandfather, I think. Yeah, she joins the gladiatorial war games to get closer to the people who killed her grandfather. This one was a gift from Tasman, so thank you very much to Tasman for that. It's on my Bookopoly TBR for most recent purchase, and I think it's another one that I'm actually going to be buddy reading with Aaron. We also have The Duke and I, which is the first Bridgerton book. This one was a gift from Noemi, so thank you very much to Noemi for sending this my way. This one was a birthday gift. This one of course is a historical romance. I've seen season 1 of the TV show. I don't love historical, but I've never really tried historical romance. I'm not adult anyway. I have tried YA and I actually enjoyed it, but this one is a like fake dating, forced marriage kind of trope between the Duke and Daphne Bridgerton, and this one is on my Bookopoly TBR. I think this one was scroll through Goodreads. We then have Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. This one is a sci-fi suspense, I want to say, about a guy who wakes up in a life that isn't his own. So he's kidnapped, and when he comes round he's kind of the same person, but his wife isn't his actual wife, and he's a lot more successful than he was in his actual life. I've heard very good things about this and it comes highly recommended from G from Book Roast. I've also just heard great things about Blake Crouch in general, and this is the book that I managed to pick up secondhand, so I'm using it as like a gateway into Blake Crouch if I end up enjoying it. And on my Bookopoly TBR, this one was for a viewer recommendation. For sci-fi, we had Auroras End by J. Kristoff and Amy Kaufman, which is the last book in the Aurora cycle. It's a YA space opera series about this unlikely flight squad called Squad 312 who end up going into their first mission after graduating with this girl called Aurora stowed away on their ship, who turns out to have some like superpowers that even she didn't know that she had. I need to stop dragging my feet on this and just get it read because it's the last book in a trilogy. Just realised that I've been stacking these in the wrong place. Not that it matters because actually you can't see these the same way you normally can, but we'll stick them all on there. And then the last prompt for Bookopoly was Other. This is the one that I asked my patrons to vote on. The vote on these is still pretty close. I check it like once a week and it's a different one in the lead, but there's only like one vote between them. So I still don't know if I'm going to be reading The Hacienda or Reckless Girls. This one is a paranormal suspense that is supposed to be for fans of Mexican Gothic and Rebecca, so I'm really excited to read it. And then this one is a thriller about a group of 20-somethings who go on holiday to this like remote tropical island that has a history of like shipwrecks and cannibalism, and strange things start to happen while they're there. Really excited to read both of these, so I don't actually mind which one wins the poll, but what I'm going to do is at the point that I'm actually ready to pick up one of these, I'm going to check the poll, and then whichever is winning in that minute is going to be the one that I end up selecting. So that is my July TBR. I'm just going to show you the size of it so that you can see how I'm truly just not going to read all of these books, but I am going to try my best. And I am actually going to be away for 4 days, I think, in the month of July because I'm going to be at Yalk. So if any of you guys are going to Yalk, actually let me know down in the comments, and I also hope to see you guys there. But yeah, I'm going to need a whole ton of luck to get through this TBR. I'm feeling optimistic, but I always am. That doesn't mean that I'm going to follow through like at all. But down in the comments, please let me know if you've read any of these books and what you guys thought of them. And aside from that, guys, please don't forget to like this video if you liked it and subscribe if you wanna. If you head into my description box, you'll find a link to my Goodreads, Instagram and Twitter if you'd like to follow me on any of those, as well as a link to my Bookish candle website, the Etsy for that, and a 10% off discount code. That's it from me today, guys. Bye!
Oh, you bite your friend like chocolate. You say you'll go where nobody knows, with guns hidden under our petticoats. We're never gonna quit it, no, we're never gonna quit it, no.